August 1976. We're standing at the most dangerous border on Earth. On one side, American and South Korean soldiers watch from their post. On the other, North Korean troops stare back, motionless, barely 20 meters away. No one crosses, no one smiles. They just watch each other. In the middle of the joint security area stands a tree, an enormous poplar, nearly 30 meters tall. Its branches block the line of sight between the southern guard post and a northern hut. A small detail, but here in Panmunjom, small details can start big problems. That tree has been there for decades. North Korean propaganda claims it was planted by Kim Il-sung himself. To the north, it's sacred. To the south, it's just an obstacle, one that hides what's happening on the other side. Picture the scene, a single tree in the middle of a perfectly cleared patch of land. Around it, cameras and thin concrete slabs mark the exact border between the two Koreas, a line that not a single soldier can cross without permission. In the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone, every move is reported, every gesture recorded. Every task requires approval from both Koreas and the United Nations. Cutting a single branch takes more paperwork than a military operation. It's 7 in the morning. From the southern observation post, an American soldier writes in his logbook, "Visibility reduced due to tree canopy." It doesn't seem important, but it is. August 18th. A small convoy rolls toward the area. 2 green jeeps and a truck loaded with tools. In the back, 5 South Korean maintenance workers sit among chainsaws and axes. 11 United Nations command soldiers, American and South Koreans, escort them. Leading the group are Captain Arthur Boniface, 33, and Lieutenant Mark Barrett, 27, both from the UN Security Force Company. The truck stops just a few meters from the poplar. The soldiers get out. Everything looks calm. 20 meters away, North Korean troops stand watching. In theory, none of them are armed. Under the armistice agreement, only officers are allowed to carry guns. Minutes later, about 15 North Korean soldiers emerge from the northern post. They're led by Lieutenant Pak Chul, known to Americans as Lieutenant Bulldog. He's impulsive, provocative, a man who enjoys pushing limits. He marches forward, flanked by his guards. They cross the line without permission. Pak stops in front of Captain Boniface and demands that he stop the work immediately. He insists the tree was planted by Kim Il-sung himself and that cutting it down is a direct insult to the great leader. Boniface listens silently. He knows he doesn't have to comply. The UN command gave the order and all the paperwork is in order. Pak steps closer. Boniface turns and signals his men to continue trimming. Within seconds, everything explodes. The North Korean soldiers grab the very same axes the workers were using and charge at the group. It happens so fast that no one even reacts. The buzzing of chainsaws mixes with shouts and blows. Captain Boniface tries to push his men back, but he's struck in the head with the edge of an axe. He collapses instantly. Lieutenant Barrett runs to help him, but another group surrounds him, beating him relentlessly. The entire attack lasts less than 30 seconds. 30 seconds of chaos and blood. When reinforcements from the southern post arrive, the North Koreans are already retreating. They leave behind chainsaws, helmets, and bodies on the ground. Boniface and Barrett are dead. 4 American and 4 South Korean soldiers are wounded. In less than a minute, a routine tree trimming job is turned into a political murder, and the tree still stands, untouched. The news reaches the UN command in minutes. Reports race from Yongsan headquarters in Seoul all the way to the Pentagon. Washington quickly understands the magnitude of what just happened. The world doesn't know it yet, but in this forgotten corner of the DMZ, a single act of violence is about to push 2 superpowers to the brink of war. The White House, hours later. President Gerald Ford calls an emergency meeting. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger demands an immediate response. He even suggests bombing North Korean installments near the border. No one wants war, but doing nothing isn't an option either. Ford sums it up in one sentence. These killings are a vile and deliberate provocation. Every decision carries the weight of history. Meanwhile in Seoul, General Richard Stilwell, commander of UN forces in Korea, puts every base on high alert. Everyone prepares for the worst. Within an hour, American and South Korean forces are at DEFCON 3, the highest alert level since Vietnam. Pilots are ordered to stay in their cockpits, engines ready. The entire peninsula shifts into war mode. 12,000 additional troops pour in as reimbursements. Military trains unload tanks, artillery, and armored vehicles. Highways fill with convoys of jeeps and trucks rumbling north. In secret bases further south, technicians begin inspecting a kind of weapon nobody dares mention aloud: tactical nuclear arms. Declassified documents later reveal that nuclear warheads were moved closer to defensive positions in South Korea, with pre-approved authorization to use them if the North crossed the line. The message from Washington to Pyongyang couldn't be clearer. Take one more step, and there's no turning back. Pyongyang stays silent, but watches closely. Even Moscow grows nervous. A single tree has brought the two superpowers to the edge of a confrontation no one can control. 3 days later, the UN command decides to finish what began: cut down the tree once and for all. The mission gets a name: Operation Paul Bunyan, after the legendary American lumberjack. This time, it's not a small maintenance crew. It's a full-scale show of force. 813 men, Americans and South Koreans, 23 vehicles, and heavy engineering equipment. Their only mission? Cut down the tree and leave. The night before, a South Korean Special Forces unit quietly moves in through the river, setting claymore mines along possible approach routes to prevent a counterattack. Evacuation routes, rally points, and coded radio messages are prepared. And one clear warning is sent to North Korea: the UN is simply finishing a previously authorized task. No provocation intended. The convoy moves into the DMZ, 23 vehicles in formation. In the front seats, American and South Korean engineers make final checks of their chainsaws. There's no room for error. Not today. The trucks stop exactly where Captain Boniface and Lieutenant Barrett were killed 3 days earlier. The engineers step out and start their chainsaws. Minutes later, buses pull up on the North Korean side. Between 150 and 200 soldiers get off, lining up in formation. They don't shout, they don't move, they just watch. Colonel Vieira spots the movement and gives a single command: show force. Moments later, Cobra helicopters sweep over the area, circling low, their shadows spinning across the ground. High above, a B-52 bomber appears, escorted by a squadron of F-4 Phantoms, visible to everyone. On the ground, an M728 combat engineer vehicle positions itself, its 165mm cannon aimed squarely at the bridge leading north, ready to destroy it if a chase begins. The North Koreans know exactly what all this means. One wrong move, one twitch of a trigger finger, and the world could explode. But they don't move. They just stand there, silent, behind their machine guns. The engineers work fast. In just 42 minutes, the enormous poplar begins to fall. An hour later, the mission is complete. The tree is gone. No shots fired, no injuries, no casualties. The soldiers regroup, board their vehicles, and drive away with the same calm they arrived with. Operation Paul Bunyan is over, and the world exhales. The poplar is gone. All that remains is a clean 6-meter stump, perfectly cut, perfectly symbolic. Then, something unexpected happens. A message arrives from Pyongyang, signed by Kim Il-sung himself. It's addressed to Admiral James Fruden, commander of the UN forces in Korea. In it, Kim expresses his regret for the incident and promises that North Korea will never again initiate a provocation. He asks for restraint, for calm, for a way to prevent anything like this from happening again. It's the first time since the 1953 armistice that a North Korean leader takes, even partially, responsibility for violence in the DMZ. The operation has worked. 4 days later, a metal fence rises across the middle of the zone. The fragile line of contact becomes a true division. From that moment on, each army remains locked on its own side. Where the poplar once stood, a stone monument is placed, a bronze plaque engraved with 2 names: Captain Arthur Boniface and Lieutenant Mark Barrett. But the place remains one of the most heavily guarded spots on Earth. 2 sides, a few meters apart, watching each other, not speaking. Every year on August 18th, they return to the site, laying flowers, standing in silence, remembering. Because they know what almost happened. They know that over a single branch, the world nearly went up in flames. And that is something no one forgets.